Hello, welcome to part 4 of our MiniArt military truck 1/35th scale build. And we're going to go from where we left off in the previous part as usual. If this is your first time viewing this video, we're up to part 4 now. You can go back to the playlist and watch right from the beginning, even watch the unboxing and review I did of the kit. If you're not already, please subscribe and give us a note, hit that notifications bell so you get notified every time the video comes out and you won't miss one. And give us a thumbs up if you like it at the end, and your comments are welcome. So let's get on with this. Now, as I said in the last video, I was going to do step 14 and 15 off camera, because the other video was going a bit too long. So I've done that. All it was is the steering column and a bit of photo etch on the fuel tank. So the photo etch is inside. I don't know if you can see it. Just in there, there's a bit of photo etch. That was quite easy to pop in there. Now the steering column, it needs to be put in here and at an angle that is really, at this point, is just going to be a guess, and that's not good enough because I need this to be fairly accurate. And if I was to put that on there, and with the instructions pretty much just showing you that, yeah, it's a little, and there's no sort of positioning pin in there for it to hold it in a certain position. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to keep this separate, and I'll label it step 14, and then we'll put a lid on there, put that aside, because there are plenty of opportunities later, even after the engine's on, installed in there, that then we can get a better idea of where it's going to angle, because it needs to go back. Because as I looked through the instructions here, we went further. After the engine goes in there, then we can still access it way beyond that, even when we're doing the body and the rear firewall, up until the point where the body goes down. We can make sure that that's going to go through like it is there. You see, there it is in there, going up into the firewall, which I'm assuming our steering wheel is going to connect to, and we want all that to be at the right angle in the cab. So I will leave that aside, and I will mark it on the instructions to be fitted, and we'll get on to that later. So in the meantime, we're up to step 16, and step 16 is to get on to work on the engine. So let me put this away safely. We'll bring our engine out, or the engine block that we've got, and we'll go and have a look at what parts and what we need to do for that. Having said that, my paint hasn't arrived to paint the engine, but I do have Mr. Surfacer Black that I'm going to prime everything with, so at least we can get that done. So no problem. All right, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so all the parts for this step 16 for the engine are all on sprue BF, which makes that easy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this part here. There it is. This section here, which needs to be glued together, and that goes on the rear of the engine. All right. And then there's a piece that goes inside. I'm not sure how much that'll be seen until we try to fit it, but it's a different color. This is the same color as the engine, so that's why I want to do that. And all the other parts are different colors. There's one piece of photo etch that's going to go on the engine as well. Okay, so let me get these parts off, which is BF number 4. Just that one there. BF4 is good. That. we go. Sorry, bumping the camera. BF4, BF6. There's a little plate there. 6, that. That's right. And BF 5 here. BF5. Okay, and let's have a look at that BF10. 8, 9, 10 is there. Okay, we'll take that off as well. BF10. Should we take all the others off? May as well. All right, so we need BF34, and that's definitely a distributor. I know what that looks like. BF34 is a tiny little distributor down there. That's that. Then we need BF25, which looks like a fuel filter. 25 looks pretty small too. Let's have a look. Where are we? There it is. Yes, it is small. That's interesting how that's gonna 25. Okay, I'll take that off further up the spruce. It's a bit tricky to see where that's going to go. Then we need BF 14. That looks like the your coil. 14 is 14 there. There it is. Coil. And we've got BF12, like a pipe of some sort that's running up out the top, probably for the fumes. BF12 is there. There, there. It's good. I noticed that piece has been bent before I took it off, so lucky that didn't break at some point. And then we need the photo etch, and that will be all the pieces on step 16. They're not all the parts on the engine, that's for sure, because there's other pieces further on that will be added. I mean, they don't miss anything on these kits. It's literally everything on the real engine is what you've got here in plastic. So PE10 photo etch. Get a little thing out here. That's number 10 on here, is a little piece there. Okay. Yeah. Photo etch one. I'm just looking there, and that doesn't seem to be. Oh yeah. Just looking at the shape. Okay. It seems as though that tab has not been punched through properly on the photo etch, so I'm going to have to be really, really careful. So I get that right. Yeah. Okay. So we've got that one. We've got that one there. That bent then. Oh no, it's okay. And now this part here I'm going to take the plastic off the other side. Got it there. Okay. This back. And I'll just, I did bend that tab a little bit, but it's okay because that needs to be bent anyway. But that will do afterwards. So we'll put all these pieces away in here, particularly the photo etch. Actually, so I've got all those pieces off now, so I'll go clean them all up, sand them, and we'll come back in a sec. Okay, so what I've done is I've just test fitted these pieces. So this part here with this housing, I've test fitted, will fit on the back of here like this. And then we've got, I think it's the, what do you call it, like the solenoid? I think that's what it was. Or regulator? Sure, but it goes into the side there. It's a separate piece, but it has to be a different color. It's not grey. And I've checked and realized that it'll fit in there after I've installed this, so that's good. So I can put this on, nothing's glued of course, so I can glue all this together, put it on, and also the photo etch that sits off the side there, that's a support for the coil, that also has to be grey, but all the other parts are a different colour. So if I can get all that together, then that can be, then I can give that some undercoat at least, and then I know that all that can be sprayed while it's on there. Let me just check. Now looking further on into this engine build, there's a cover that goes over the water pump and behind the fan belt and the pulleys. It is also grey, but that can't go on because it's got other parts need to go on underneath it. So that's the only piece that's grey, the engine colour, that I'll have to paint off the engine. Once all these are on, that's it. Then we're on to the other little accessory parts, which are separate colours. All right, so what I'll do is I'll glue this all together, put it on. I'll put the photo etch on there. That's pretty simple. It's just an easy bend. I'll put that on and we'll come back and have a look at it. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So the engine is glued together, including the little bit of photo etch there, which was simple to do. Now, you'll notice this bit of wire sticking out. So this is an idea I picked up from Jeff Donahue's channel, where he glues on a piece of wire into a position that's going to be covered by another piece, so that you've got something to hold on to when you spray it. And I think it's a brilliant idea, spraying small parts. So the idea then is to just take, we'll just put that aside, and that's ready to spray. You can do the whole thing quite easily. When you're done, you just cut the wire off in there, and all good. You won't, it's hidden behind where the in this case I think it's the alternator or the starter motor is going to be sitting. And the same goes with all these little parts that need to be done in different colors. I have the same wire, like that's a bit thicker gauge, but there's this really thin stuff here. I'm not sure how small that is, but it's tiny, and that's perfect for these little parts. And I'll do the same thing. I'll glue it to a part, like on the bottom, for example, that's going to get glued. This pipe gets glued onto the little bit of photo etch that sticks out. So I'll just CA glue it to the end there, and then I can just spray it a lot easier. So that's what I'm going to do with these bits now. I'll just pin them all with wire, ready for painting. And then we'll move on to step 17, which, sorry, the camera there, is this other little contraption here, which goes on the rear of the motor. It's not sure what that is. It's probably something to do with transmission. I'm not sure. But anyway, all these parts are painted 05, which when we look at our color guide, 05 is steel color. All right, and it's all steel, so we can glue this all together and then we'll pin it like we have there. Sorry, bumping the thing again. We'll pin it like we have with the rest of the engine and get it together. So let's start getting some pieces off. No, I'll do this first, then we'll come back and we'll get the pieces off for that. Yep, okay, back shortly. Okay, so I've put that together there, tiny little piece, and just letting that dry, and then I'll pin that as well. And I've gone on to step 19 here, and I'm looking here, and there's two parts here that need to be painted chrome as well, and they go together. So I'll stick those two together. Then there's the air filter, which is a separate color, but you can stick them together, but I just won't connect them to that. So I can keep that separate. Then we've got the exhaust manifold, which will be painted separate. So I'll just pin that, and that will be all. And then over here on 20, this side, we've got a couple more pieces, which are colored number 4. So one's a piece of photo etch, and they're 4. And then there's the fan, which will be separate. Oh, I'm not sure about this. Maybe I can join the photo etch to that, then connect it afterwards. Not sure. I haven't really looked at that properly. Let me just check. Yeah, it's just a support that sits on the manifold, it looks like, on the exhaust. Maybe it's meant to be a turbo. I'd say that's probably meant to be a turbo. Okay, so we'll see. It does look like if I can attach the photo etch to that and paint that together as the color, that'd be good. So I'll continue on and get all these pieces all like ready to paint, because like I said, they're all going to be done in the black first, all in the Mr. Hobby primer. So I'll get them all done, all on there. We'll take a look. I'll be back shortly. Okay, welcome back, guys. So I've been busy at it for about an hour and a half, trimming all the pieces off for the engine from step 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. It covers everything that goes on the engine. And the last step, there's this piece that sits on the top of the exhaust manifold that I thought was a turbo. I think it probably is, not too sure. But they're actually saying to drill the hole out in the end of this. So what I'm going to do, and before I do that, I will check the key to make sure that that is what that means. I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, open hole. Okay, so here's the piece. It's a little bit like that. So what I've got is I've got a drill bit that I've chosen that should be okay size. This is the Icky Stickies tungsten micro drill bits. It's the size I'm after there. So what we're going to do is just need to install this in like that. There we go. Hopefully it's not too big. What I'm thinking of doing is maybe going smaller. Yeah, I will go smaller just to start off, and then we can open up the hole a bit bigger afterwards. Go with this one here. Now these are really good drill bits. It should not be any problem holding this. In fact, I will make a hole just to start with in the center there. That's all it takes. We'll drill our hole in here. The trick is just to make sure it's straight. And in the center, which I think it is. It's pretty good. Okay. Should be deep enough. Yeah. And we'll get our next size. Which I'm starting to think is too big. Let me go one down. Try that. No, that's going to be too big as well. Go here. Okay. All right. That's it, done. Should be fine. Okay. Just others clean up around the edges of a smaller one. There we go. Beautiful. Good, done. There we go. All right. Excellent. Right now, this one needs to be attached to a bit of photo etch. Looked at the photo etch. Let's have a quick look at that. Photo etch is number 9, and that is, wow, that is tiny. Look at that. That can't be it. PE9. It is too. Wow. That actually attaches to the manifold. And then somehow that's going to attach to that. Let me check. Okay. That's what they want. What I'm going to do is I'll attach this little photo etch to the manifold before I paint it. It's probably the best bet. Because it's the same color as that, isn't it? Double checking. Number 4. Color is 4. No, it's not actually. 4 and 4 is, I think it's going to be silver chrome. Double check. Number 4 is, no, it's that olive drab. It's green. Okay, no problem. I'll just attach it to this thing because that's got to be green as well. All right, back shortly. Okay, so there's all our pieces, all ready to go on paint. See, they're all wired up and ready. And I'm going to give them a black Mr. Hobby black surfacer, and then we can figure out what paints I got that I can paint with. But I'm expecting paint to arrive probably in the next day or two for the actual colors I need. All right, there was some really tiny bits here. I'll put a photo up of some little bit of photo etch that had to go on the exhaust manifold. You can see that there, absolutely tiny. Yeah, absolutely incredible. All right, so I'll prime them now. What that means on here is that we've got all the parts on for 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. I'm just going to circle the ones there. They're all there on that. And when they're painted up, they'll all be on the engine, and the engine actually goes on step 21. As you'll see here, engine's actually already going onto the chassis. Now, that's going to be something we'll have to think about whether we do that straight away, because this isn't painted yet. I'm not sure if we're at the stage where this should all be painted yet. But we'll come to that when we come to that. For the moment, we've got a lot of work to do on here. So I'll go get these all primed, and we'll come back and have a look at them. Okay, we'll be back in a sec. Okay, so the next part is done. We've painted these up in Mr. Surfacer Black primer. Not much use trying to look at these. They're black as pretty much looking at shadows. The detail will show up better once we put the primary coat on. So they're all done and drying, which won't take very long at all. I give it an hour at the most. What I would do now is, because we need a few other colors, and some of which I do have, like the I think it's aluminium number 2. We'll just check. Well, 2 is black, and then we've got aluminium number 3. So there's a few aluminium parts, a couple of black parts. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll separate these. I'll put all the aluminium bits that need spraying aluminium in one area, the ones that need to be black in another area, one needs to be the grey in another, and get it all sorted so I can get them sprayed. The colours I can spray now is the aluminium, like I said, and I also do have black. It's just the XF75 grey that I'm waiting on, that I've ordered. Yeah, there's also number 5, which is steel. There's a steel colour. So yeah, that should be fine. All right, so once again, I will go and sort these out. In fact, I think the next time we come back and have a look, these will be all painted up and pretty much ready to put the engine parts all on the engines themselves. Now, I've had a quick look towards step 21, which is after the engine build, and this is where we put the engine on the chassis. But we don't want to do that, because we've still got to paint all this chassis. There's still parts to go on there before we can paint. So the tray's got to go on in the next step. There's a bumper bar on the rear, I think that is, or the front. That's on the front. That's the front bumper bar. So all this, everything is going to be the green. Yeah, it's going to be the green colour. We've also got a spare tyre to do, which obviously that won't go on, but we can still put it together. We could still undercoat it, and we could probably even paint it. I've got the black and I've got the green for the rim, so we could do that as well. So there's plenty of stuff to do while parts are drying and in between times. There's also some shock absorber, it looks like, to go on here in the next step, and some other, I don't know what that is, suspension piece to go in there as well. And we've got more connecting bits for the tray to secure the tray down. And then after that, it goes on to working on the driver's compartment, the headlining and everything. So yeah, heaps to go, heaps of work. All right, enough talking. I'll be back when these are done, and might come back in between before that and start putting these tray together for the back of the truck. Okay, back shortly. Okay, back again, and everything's painted up except for the engine block. Still waiting on the paints to come for that. But other than that, I've got the black parts done, steel parts done, the aluminium parts done, this olive drab parts, and rust, which I used a brown, which come up really nice with the black undercoat. And of course there'll be some weathering to further enhance that. So all done, just done. So they're going to dry. And now I'll move on to the other parts on the body on step 21, where we've got to do the tray. It's like a spare wheel on the front bumper bar. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, back again. And now we've coloured up, painted, I should say, all the pieces, except the engine block. There's all our parts done in the black, steel, olive drab, rust, aluminium. Looking quite good. They're drying, practically dry now. So what we're doing now, we're going to move on to step 21. And here it is here. So in step 21, we're back onto the chassis. We're going to put the bumper bar at the front, it's going to go on, and the beginning of the tray on the rear. There's also a spare tyre, which we'll probably put it together, but I don't know if we won't mount it on there because that's still got to be painted. So let's get this off. EF, there's our bumper there on the front. We'll take that one off. Take a second to do that. That off. 1, 2, 3. And actually that's finished. Actually, that's finished the EF sprue, so it's our first one complete. Now we need the DB sprue, which is this one, to get some parts of the tray off. We got numbers 6, 7, 11. There's 6, 7, and 11. All right, let's get them off. One. Yeah, as usual, these will need to be sanded, tidied up. And this come on off here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's that. I'm not worried about the tyres just yet. So I'll go clean up these parts, and we'll bring the chassis back across and we'll start working on it. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So we've cut off the pieces for our little tray frame and clean them all up. And I'm just going to need to glue these on. That's going to go on there, and that one's going to go there. That. Yeah, looks right. So I need to glue these two pieces together, which I'm about to do now. Just want to make sure that they're going to be straight and at center. That should be fine. So I'll drop some glue in there. We'll do the other side. This one here is the bumper bar. It's all ready to go on. We've got our frame chassis here. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. I'll just glue these and we'll see how the fit is for this on the back. Yes, on the back of the frame there. Back in a sec. Okay, back again. Now, I've glued these on, just holding them with clamps, and I'll let them set. But you wouldn't believe what happened. And you might notice a bit of a smudge here and here. Yeah, I had another spill. My glue, extra thin, tumbled over. I lost about a quarter of the jar, went right across my brand new Icky sticky mat that I only just got a few days ago. Just my luck. So, yeah. And then I thought, oh, well, gosh, I wiped it up as quick as I could, but that just smeared it. Maybe I should have just left it. And of course, it went on the other side under there and put a nice smudge on the other side as well. So, oh, gosh, spilling stuff. Just can't help it, can I? Anyway, well, yeah, I'm not going to buy another mat. I've got two of them now. I got the last one. Here's my other one with its smudge marks from the spills on it as well. Anyway, hazards of the hobby, eh? All right, so let's get back into this. There's our bumper. These are glued. They're almost done. I'll put them on the chassis. Lucky the glue didn't go anywhere else. I didn't wear it, didn't go on any model parts, so that's a plus. Okay, so let's bring our chassis over and see how this fits on here. Okay. And yes, before you say it, yes, I do need a glue holder to put this in. I bought one the other day to put all my glues in, a nice long one, but that sort of defeats the purpose because I reach over, take things out, and yeah, I need something to stop this spilling over. I'm going out to a hobby shop today, so I'm going to see what they've got there. Anyway, all right, so let's get a look at this. Okay. So we want this to sit pretty much on here. I think that's about it there. It looks like it's on. Yeah. Make sure there's in the right spot at the back there. Yeah. Alright, so that's a nice fit. Of course, this one here will go on the front the other way. There we go, that's going to go in there. There's some locating points in there for it. Yeah. Like that. Pretty much. Alright, good. Now let's see if I can glue these on without having a spill. Oh gosh. Alright, I'm back in a second. Okay, back again. So let's put this tray on. We just need to touch a bit of glue under there. Carefully about spilling it. Went to a model shop today. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything for this, but I'll keep my eyes open because I really do need something to keep this in. Just hold that there for a second, let that glue grip. Yeah, a little container to stand for the glue jar would be handy. I will keep an eye out. Let's go over the other side now. Do this. There we go. Yeah, the problem is that when I knocked it over, it's because I'm looking at it through the corner of my eye, which is outside of my magnifying glasses, and I'm seeing where it is, but my hand is in the view of my magnifying glasses. So when I reach, I'm closer than I think, and then I knock it over. You know, simple mistake. So anyway, also I went and checked at my post office. There was no mail. I'm expecting the paints to come, but it is on the tracking saying it's on delivery. So if it's not down there this afternoon, which if it is, I'll whip down there and grab it. We'll definitely be there tomorrow. Now we can paint that engine block and start putting those engine pieces on. I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay, I'll let that set. Now we need to put the bumper bar on the front, which, so that goes on like this. Just make sure that those locating pins are correct. Yeah. Yeah, that's it there. And just touch a bit of glue into there. 1, 2. Push that out of the way. Just hold that there for a moment. Along with the paint, I have sanding sticks coming too, which I desperately need. Trying to just rub the sandpaper on there is no good. You really need a sanding stick with a flat surface when you're trying to take off seams and sprue marks. All right, so that's on. Other than the engine going on for step 21, we're done. Oh, hang on, we've got the tyre. What about the tyre? Which I was thinking about leaving that. Let's have a look. Let's have a look on the sprue where it is. So it's on sprue A5 and A2. So there's our tyre there, and we've got this. Let me just move this out of the road. Okay. So there's the tyre and the outside of the rim, looks like. Yeah. And this is the spare tyre. I have to figure out how I'm going to paint this up. This actually looks like part of the tyre. It goes on the other side. And we've got this part here. So we need the rim to be green while the tyre is a rubber black. And yeah, what to do about that? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take them off, clean them up, and if we're definitely not going to put it on, because putting it on would be silly because we haven't painted the chassis yet. So but there's no harm in taking these parts off. We could always put them in a little container and label it for later. So that's going to go in there. Once that's trimmed up properly, it will. Won't at the moment. That goes on there. And then the whole thing sits on the little platform. Let's have a look. That's it there. And that's going to sit on there, like that. Doesn't look right, but yeah, that's it. Okay. And yes, there is a couple of little locating pins for it to sit in. 1, 2, like that. Good. What I'll do is I'll clean it up. I guess I could glue that bit in. Yeah, it depends. It might be better to paint this separate because it's going to be green. Looking at the picture on the box, actually, you're never even going to see this because it's going to be up under the tray. So it'll be completely covered. The underside needs to be done though. That needs to be painted up properly. So I guess that's safe to put on. All right, I'll trim it up. I'll put it on. I'll label it, put it in a container. We'll put it in as step 21. And then we'll come back to it when it can go on the truck later. Yeah. All right, I'll come back and we'll see where we're going into the next step over the page. All right, I'm back in a second. Okay, so moving on, step 22. So we've got the chassis back out. We've got 2 pieces off A sprue and 1 off the BF sprue, which is, again, there's another little tail shaft type thing with the universal joint. It's got to go in underneath there. And then there's some brackets that look like they might be part of the gearbox. Not sure. Anyway, I've taken them off here. This part here, that's really delicate. I'm going to have to be very, very careful cleaning that up. Wish me luck. This one here is another little tail shaft. I'll just trim that up, and there's our little uni joint. And then we'll put them on the truck. Okay, I'll just clean these up and we'll have a go installing these. Back in a sec. Okay, so what I discovered was that these 2 parts actually connect up to the engine, which we haven't put in yet because we can't put it in yet. So yeah, they go in and connect to the engine. So what I've decided to do is I'll put them in another little container, like in here, one of these, label it step 22, and we'll remember to put those on to the engine after the engine's installed and after this has been painted. So we can move on to step 23 now, which is some brackets that hold the tray down on here from underneath. That's no problem. We should be able to put those on and move on from there. Okay, so we'll save those aside for later. Okay, so step 22 requires these brackets. We need 1, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 4 and 5 off both of those. And like I said, they go down and hold the tray, brace the tray to the chassis. These are very, very delicate pieces, again, like the last one we did. So I'm going to take these off best I can and clean them up and keep them as pristine as I can. I just noticed I can see one is possibly broken already there. Yeah. In fact, it just broke when I touched it. These are very, very brittle. That's a shame. We'll have to repair that. Yeah, that's a shame. So, but it gives me an idea just how delicate all these parts are. Okay, so I'll get these done, and then hopefully when we come back, I'll have them all in one piece. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, the operation's going well. I've got the first one on, or first two, and they've lined up with each other and they're sitting there really well. You probably can't see that there. They're in there. I've got to do the other one on this side, and then the two on the rear there. So yeah, handling them really carefully, but they position okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other four. The last one's going to be tricky with the broken piece, but I'll see what I can do to fix that, and then we'll come back and have a look. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so I managed to get them on. They come up really well. I don't know if you can see, there's the tops of them on there, and they run underneath where the latches are in there. There they are, running up and down the side, and just braces holding this section on. And they come up really well. I have to be careful handling this. There's this piece here we put on before that sticks up. So many times I've bent that. I'm worried about knocking it off. So yeah, what I'm thinking of doing is putting, say, for instance, a clip on somewhere. That means that it's not going to get knocked, just so I know that it's there. And also handling it, if I can put a clamp on, you know, something like this on the front, on the bumper there, and just use this to handle it, that would be less risk of bumping anything off. But for the moment, I'm using the brake drums to move it. So, right, so that marks off this part, which is step 23. I can tick that because that's done. That's done and they're on. So they're all done on there. Now we go over to step 24, which looks like the roof of the cabin and the driver's compartment. These are all painted 04, which we look in the instructions is olive drab. Okay, so we might be able to put all this together, 24 and 25. I think they're two separate pieces by the looks of it. FA3, FA7, FA6, then we've got FA, this one, FE6, so it's two separate things, but they're the same color. That looks good. All right, I'll get, well, let's have a look. Let's get the sprue. Find out. FA3. Guessing that's going to be a fairly good sized. There it is there. So what we need here is FA3 is this. Okay, so this is the firewall in the engine bay. Okay, I see what we're at. We've got this, and plus we've got FA6 and 7, which are these two here. So these look like they're the parts extending out. I'm guessing for the hood to go on and the fenders. Yeah. All right, let's take these off and have a better look at what we got to do, and I'll get them all cleaned up. Back in a sec. Okay, so I've got those pieces off. I've cleaned them up. So there's our firewall, and this is sort of a bit of a panel on the side. Now what I figured out was the door actually closes on this side. Well, no, it doesn't close, it opens. Is that right? Yes, it opens forward on there. So there's a slight lip there where the door is going to sit flush with this panel. And that was a bit deceiving because I thought it wasn't going on properly. It wasn't in its right position. but it actually is. And as long as you've got, there is one little piece in there that you can connect it up with to align it, but there's nothing anywhere else. And even though it looks sort of crooked, it's actually correct. So I'm about to glue that now. Unfortunately, this bracket on the other one snapped. These pieces are very, very delicate and not very strong. Handling them is just, you got to be so careful. So anyway, I've got the clamp on there to hold it. I'm just going to glue this now. Just pop it in there. I'm going to let it just run down through the seams. I'll do it in there as well. That should be fine. Here we go. So I'll leave that to dry, and then I'll attach that on the other side, and then we'll have that part done. Now I think, yeah, that's one full piece. Then we've got to work on the roof and the liner inside the roof, which could be a little bit tricky because there's some, oh no, actually they're all the same color. It's okay, so we can put them together, but there's little rear view mirrors got to go in there as well, and it's a different color. So we may have to take that off and then put that aside to install later after we've painted the cabin, which I will probably be painting before we attach it to the truck. That's what I'm planning to do. We'll see. That's a bit further down the track. All right, I'll get the other one of these on, and I'll take the other two pieces off the sprue, trim them up, and we'll have a look at them before I start gluing them. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so here's our roof top of the cabin with the headliner sitting inside it, and I'm just trying to get it positioned correctly before I glue it. The instructions aren't clear. They showed a picture of it. Well, let me show you what I mean. So the instructions here, see that, and you can see that. So they show it as two separate pieces, and they're telling you that goes down into there. Well, there's no real location points in there for it to sit, and there's these two little protrusions at the top here that are in the side of the windscreen that sit here, but you can't, I don't know whether they sit up high like I've got it there where they stick out a little bit, or whether I have to slide that windscreen back a bit more so that they sit level. It looks okay around the edge there. That looks all right, and same with the sides of it. But they are, in that point, these are not level here. So I'm just getting some advice from my old mate Jeff Donahue. I've left him a message, and hopefully, because he's built pretty much the same truck, just a slightly different model, but it would be exactly the same. And before I glue it, I don't want to take the chance to find that, oh no, it needed to be slid back a little bit. All right, so that's done. I'm going to put that aside now. It's fantastic to have that done. That can go with the firewall that's also finished. And I'll mark these off, but I won't tick it as done yet. There's also a little rear view mirror that's got to go in there. We can do that. That can go in there. That's the same color as everything else, although it has color 07, which I'm guessing is going to be a chrome. Yes, it's silver, so that's for the mirror. That can be painted on afterwards. Then we're going to be moving on to the radiator, but that's going to be in the next video because we're just going over the hour mark now. I don't want to keep all the videos going too long, but we've progressed quite a bit and got a bit more done here. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notifications bell so you get notified of when my videos come out. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and comment below. I'd love to hear your comments and your opinions and your thoughts. It's great to hear that from not only for me but for anybody else who's watching the video, to whip down and have a look at the comments. I always do when I'm looking at someone's video. Okay, so thanks guys, and I'll see you all back here for part 5. Bye for now.